Hello, fellow science fiction fans and participants of the Miami Book Fair. I'm very thrilled for the opportunity to introduce myself. I am John Ford. I've recently penned the novel Dominion, which is available through Rock Hill Publishing. And this is a science fiction story, which is pretty heavy in the science area, a little bit less in the fantasy when you consider the total science fiction fantasy genre. And I wanted to write this story because I'm a very creative person. I have a huge imagination, but also because it's very relevant to today's culture with a lot of the areas of various interests and research that are ongoing in greater technological ambits. What we're going to be doing in our story is we're going to be marrying different scientific disciplines like solid state physics and biology, and these are going to come together in a very complex way. And what will emerge from that sort of synergistically is implications in psychology and parapsychology. And I'm also here to read some of this to you, so give you an idea, a taste of how it flows. First of all, I'd like to um, tell you that I appreciate that you're giving me a chance to present this to you, and that if you do pick this story up, please do read the introduction, because if you're a little bit less familiar with some of the scientific background, it would be helpful to have that primer to sort of give the story its necessary relevancy, if you will. So with no further ado, I'd like to read a little bit of this to you now, and just bear with me. Reading out loud in this sort of format is sort of not my thing, but maybe it'll translate okay. They toiled over the course of the afternoon, delicately placing the electrodes equidistantly along the non-conductive polymer sheathing designed to house the object's body. It was nearing 6 p.m., and that all too familiar orange pulsating light abruptly began rhythmically filling the air outside the sliding glass doors to the research vestibule. The timing of these two new arrivals was impeccable because they had just completed system prep work, and they had finished entering the final project state for their first attempts at creating artificial brain waves. The shadows of the two figures walking side by side shortened along the floor of the adjacent stretch of brighter lit corridor that extended around the corner. As they appeared, Colton recognized the taller of the two instantly by his body movements alone. The man stopped, then turned around so he faced away from the doors. He crossed his arms, looking once to the right, then to the left. Mendel performed an up-down motion with one hand, and the door hissed open. Walking through, the taller individual rolled back around to join in behind him. Stephen stepped square before them with his hands clasped behind his lower back, passing a quick glance back and forth, but deferred to an approach upon the glass that separated the vestibule from the infant technology located in the inner sanctum. The taller individual's arms were still crossed as he stood behind Mendel, turning his head about the venue. Jack leaned tight to Colton's ear. Who's this other spook? Shh. Mendel's voice drew their attention front and center. I see you've completed the physical integration of the edifice. Outstanding. He looked over to Jack briefly. Gentlemen, before turning his attention back to the glass, where are we in the testing phase? I'm anxious to see if brain waves were made artificially. After sharing an instant of curious eye contact, Colton answered, we haven't yet begun. Today was intended to be a prep run. That's fine, he was interrupted. But I trust you have fully integrated Dr. Wiles' technology then? Yes, right. It's integral in the physical makeup. Colton subtly shook his head towards Jack, who raised his hands in absolution. Very well then, I must be elsewhere. Good evening, gentlemen. Mendel turned toward the double doors and left. The tall figure hesitated to instrumentally probe the two of them, scanning up and down. When the hiss of the door sounded off, he then spun around to rejoin his companion. They disappeared around the corner, their shadows lengthening again. What in the hell was all that about? I haven't got the foggiest idea. Two beeps interrupted their mutual disquiet. Monitor one was scrolling, confirming status of upload. Interpretation commenced. It's formatting the use of those MMPs there. I mean, there's got to be a time lag because of the immense number of them. I'll take some time to process the spatial matrix. Come on, let's get it, head out for the night. Give them the night to figure things out. Fascinating. You see something else? Colton queried excitedly. No, you actually suggesting doing something else. Sure, sure thing, man. Jack grabbed his own backpack and together they proceeded through the sliding plexiglass doors. Several hours later, amid the darkened venue, a monitor one beeped a single ping as a word scrolled, alone. So the scene that they were doing there was basically when the device that they had created was just coming online, and unbeknownst to them, there was the rudiments of some sort of self-awareness going on there. So anyway, that's a small piece of how it flows. I'm sure that my reading out loud probably didn't do it justice. I'm not, it's not really my forte to do that. Though given some practice and time, maybe I could become much better. In the meantime, if you're interested, please go to Rock Hill Publishing. That's Rock Hill Publishing, all one word, rockhillpublishing.com. And I believe at this time during this promotion of the show, it will be offered at 20% discount. So thank you very much. I very, very much appreciate the opportunity that I'm given here at the Miami Book Fair and for your taking time to listen to this.